Okay, so now let's say you're ready to do an export. Um, Basically, what you need to do, well, first let's put in a couple more items. So let's just say like you have a couple basketball players in here, and this is just another FBX from the Google Drive. So if you have like a couple models in here, I'm just going to use these as an example for instancing. So let's say we have three of them. So you can label these to be instanced in the XR engine. What you need to do is for everything that you want instanced, uh, all the objects, you should select them all and add this instanced mesh mono behavior. And this basically tells the exporter to format the models in a way to like put them into a buffer for instancing. Um, in this case, this is the root node of a bunch of meshes that we want to instance all of. And so if you want that, you click this apply to children option, and that will at export time automatically try to instance everything, every child asset of wherever this is placed. All right, so now save this, and then what you need to do, which is somewhat complicated, is you need to break up the scene um, into sections so that you can export using different parameters to get the correct results. So we're going to use this export scene tab again, which can be reached here. I have it up already. And we're going to want to go to the base settings, and we want to set the output directory. And this is basically point this to an XR Engine project folder. So go into your XR Engine projects or wherever you're hosting this, and basically select the root folder, and that's all you need to do. And then type in the name. So this is going to be the base scene, so I'll just do court base. And have all these settings. You can ignore all these for now. What's important are these options down here. Well, first we want to split these into their own scene. So I'm going to make a new scene. We'll just call this court instanced. And we'll open this additively. Delete the default stuff, and then we'll move these things that we want to instance into that scene. And then we save them both. Now, this export scene panel, the XR Engine export scene panel, all of these settings are saved on a per scene basis, like their default options saved. So basically, whatever the active scene is, you can save your configuration so that when you load the scene again, it'll automatically be set up the way it was before, which is very useful for what we're about to do. So in this base scene, we want to activate like all of the optimizations, all of the compressions, texture, mesh, all of it. And we can combine the nodes and materials as well. So this will maximize the amount of optimization that occurs. Max texture resolution is 2K, probably a good start. And everything is set, so I'm going to put save settings as default. All right, and so that's this scene. And now I'm going to change, so set active scene to court instanced. And basically what we want to do here is change these settings. So court instanced. And so the instancing is done using a GLTF extension that isn't supported by GLTF pack yet. So what we need to do is actually disable the optimizations when we're doing the instancing. And we also need to check this use basic GLTF converter. And of course, instance meshes. All right, and so this setup right here with instancing on, basic GLTF converter on, and everything else disabled is the setup for exporting instancing. And we'll save these settings as default. And just to give an example, so I'll go back to this scene. You'll see automatically when we change the active scene, we're getting different. We get the save parameters. So just that's extremely useful, and it's saved to a file, so you can it can be set up for when you close the project and open it again. Everything will be saved. All right, so now let's do exports. Let's remove this scene. Try this court-based scene first. Got all of this correctly configured, and we'll do an export. And so the export basically will serialize the rest of the assets that are embedded in the GLB, create copies of them so that we can resize them or perform texture compression on them as needed. Then they're exported out of Unity, and we run a command line application, a custom compiled version of GLTF-Pack, which will run all of the optimizations that we list here. Basically, these parameters define the configuration of the GLTF-Pack. So this will usually take between 2 to 5 minutes. It's a somewhat lengthy process. I'm working on speeding it up, but the primary culprit is the Unity asset system and the KTX2 mesh compression if you have it enabled. Okay. So then it'll run this. If everything goes well, you'll see this command line window open up, and it will be running either GLTF-Pack, or if you have basic GLTF converter selected, it will run a node script, a different converter.